I absolutely love being in the trenches. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can build a profitable supplement brand to $1,000 a day. As you can see here, I have some really clean data here. My supplement brand has done $978 in sales just today alone. It's a fairly newer supplement brand, and we are at 38% net margin and taking home $421 today in net profit, which is always fun. Hit the refresh for you here, just in case someone's calling bullshit on it. And by the way, the tool is called Triple Whale. It connects to different platforms to give you your raw daily profit in total. So boom, now that that's out the way, let's get into the training. I'd also like to highlight that it is 11:33 p.m. on a random Wednesday afternoon, and I'm making this YouTube video, but it goes to show you how much I love and value you guys, and I want to share as much great value. So with that being said, let's dive in. How to scale a supplement brand to 1K a day profitably. This strategy will help you become profitable even in a competitive niche with high CPMs. Keep in mind, most supplements are in competitive niches, so it's a little bit redundant, but it goes without saying, I'm dealing with on average $80 to $90 CPMs on all my campaigns, and I'm still profitable, as you saw. So you've heard of all the hypes about supplements and CPG, right? So consumer packed goods. This could also be skincare, hair care, anything that's applicable. You can apply it to your body or eat it. So you know there's a lot of money to be made, and you understand the value of having a reoccurring customer. But every time you try to make an attempt to test and scale a supplement or CPG, you fail. You're often met with high CPMs, high CPCs, and in most cases, horrible soft metrics. If you're a G marketer, you might even have some solid soft metrics, but still struggle to convert consistently for it to make sense, right? How frustrating is that? So you end up just quitting, turn off all your campaigns, and rinse and repeat the formula until your bank account is absolutely drained. Trust me, when I say this, I get your pain. I've been down the road before many times until recently. I've changed up something that I've done recently, and it's completely made the difference. And that is something I like to call creative sequencing, which is Andromeda proof. It's honestly nothing too new. I did not invent this strategy. I can't take credit for it because most people would argue that this is what they do anyway. But I do want to break it down in a simple, easy to follow thought process and kind of thesis and belief. So supplements, CPGs, honestly just require more touch points than your average product does. And I think most people, when they're in dropshipping and trying to scale up brands and whatnot, they don't really take into account that the people you're trying to sell to on the other side are actual real people, that the numbers you see in your ad account dashboard or your Shopify analytics are real people. So we have to treat the numbers that we see as real human interaction. And as we know, most people are not going to see something that they have to put in their body or apply on their skin and say, oh, I'm ready to buy, unless it's some type of snack or you have really, really, really strong marketing. In most cases, it's just going to require multiple touch points. So when you're running your ads and you're losing money day after day after day, it could just simply mean a few different things. One, you don't have enough creative sequencing. And then two, you might not have some back end stuff like email marketing and stuff like that. But you need to be showing up in multiple forms of media and email marketing and be relentless in your marketing efforts. You also have to think in longer time horizons. People want to run ads on Monday and be profitable by Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to show you guys in just a moment, if you just give me a few minutes of your time, I'm going to show you a sale that I got today where this person has been seeing so many different ads that I've been running, and they finally bought after almost a month. And I'll show you that in just a moment. So, like I mentioned, nothing I'm saying is ultimately new. I didn't invent, this is supposed to say invent, not invite, invent a new strategy, but people have known this forever, and I have been applying this forever. But the question is, what process is the best to apply to a newer brand that you're trying to get off the ground? And as we know, newer brands are the hardest to get off the ground until it starts to become profitable and can be scalable on its own. So look at this, right? On July 3rd, 2026, or earlier this month, this potential buying customer viewed my product, right? And they came from a Facebook ad. Then the next day, they saw another campaign, right? So actually, this is the same campaign, I believe, even the same ad. No, so this is a different ad. You can see the ad set ID is different, and subsequently, the ad ID is different. So same campaign, different ad. They've seen actually two ads, both on Facebook. Then the next day, they've seen another ad on Facebook. Then the next day, they've seen two more ads on Facebook. And then on the 7th, they seen another ad. And then on the 8th, they seen some ads on Instagram now. So it went from Facebook to Instagram and then Facebook again. And then Facebook again on July 9th. And then on July 12th, Facebook again, another set of ads. Then they viewed the product and saw another campaign on July 22nd. Then they saw another one on the 26th and another one. And then they saw, by the way, this is a mixture of statics, UGCs, and natives. So you can see that this is native performing ad. Some UGC, sorry, this is UGC ad on the 27th, which was yesterday. Some of these you would have seen here. I believe one of these was like, okay, no, these are all the ID name, but some of these are statics, some of these are natives. So you can see here, this is from my statics campaign. We had a CBO campaign for that one, UGC for that one, UGC, statics again, UGC, statics again, UGC, and then they finally bought. So from July 3rd to today, the 29th, it took them almost a month to buy. Now, is every single person that's going to buy going to take this long? No. At the end of the day, we're not doing high ticket drop shipping, right? So it shouldn't take them this long. But for some people, it may take 2-3 days. For some people, it might take a week and a half. So your marketing dollars today, you cannot look at it as just today or tomorrow's profitability. You have to look in longer time horizons. And because I have so many different creatives and testing strategies, it's allowed me to speak to that same person in a variety of different ways. And not only did they come on my website and buy one product, they actually bought two, increasing my average order value, making that initial cost to acquire their attention profitable. Okay, so it's so important you think in longer time horizons, and it's so important to have a different creative diversity, especially nowadays with Andromeda. That's the whole thing with Andromeda. They know, and the thing to emphasize with creative sequencing is that they know Facebook and their crazy expensive algorithm. They understand how many different pieces of creative concepts need to happen and be shown before that person buys. So, for example, here, let's say we have create some boxes. So let's say this is a UGC ad. Let's copy this. Let's say this is a static ad, right? And then let's say this is native ad, right? Let's say that there's a bunch of different variations of this too, right? So we have, UGC 2, and then we'll change this to like a yellow. Boom, static 2. And this is assuming that in the ad set you have different ads. You're not just using one native ad and one static, right? Let's just say that. And then let's do this again here. Boom. This is literally the best visual representation that I can do of creative sequencing. So this is going to be 3, right? This is going to be static 3. And then this is going to be native 3. So creative sequencing goes as such. Some people, I'm going to use different colors for this. Some people need to see this ad, this ad, this ad, this ad, and then this ad before they buy. Okay, they might need to see this in this order. They might need to see these different ads: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's just one person. But another person might need to see this ad, then this ad, then this ad, then this ad to buy. They might need to only see 4, and it might be a UGC here, static here, native here. Another person might need to see this ad, and then this ad, and then they're ready to buy. And then another person might need to see this ad, and then they're ready to buy. So there's going to be a variety of different ads that someone needs to see, and how many of those different ads they need to see before they buy. Facebook knows, based off of that customer's previous actions and user history, they're going to interpretate and make an educated guess on how many ads they need to see, and at that, which ads and in which order. So what is our job and our responsibility as advertisers, especially with supplement brands? Now, this is applicable to any type of brand, whether you're drop shipping a regular product or, whatever the case may be. Obviously, this is going to really help people that are trying to build supplement brands because of how competitive it is. The name of the game is creative volume, creative diversity. On this YouTube channel here, I've talked about UGC, AI UGC. I've talked about more recently static ads, and my entire foundation of this channel has been on native ads. So you have the tools and resources to watch free YouTube videos and get educated on how to build variety of high performing creatives that you can test in your ad account and launch them and be one, patient, but then also two, be able to interpretate the soft metrics. One of the biggest indicating factors that has allowed me to continue to test and be confident that I will turn a profit despite being in the red initially was my cost per add to cart and my soft ad metrics. Even though I may not be getting purchases, my cost per add to cart was sitting anywhere between $9 to $12, which is more than great for me. And on top of that, my soft metrics like my CPM, CPM is not within my ideal KPI. That's unfortunately just the circumstances. But other soft metrics like CTR all, right? The CPC, the CTR link click-through rate. For videos, right? My hook rate and then hold rate, right? These were all in KPIs. My add to cart cost, my cost per add to cart, my website conversion rate, my add to cart rate on my website being around like 6%. My website conversion rate on average 2.5 to 3%. My cost per add to cart on average was around $9. And these are just the numbers that I need for my business to be profitable, right? My hold rate, what percentage of people are watching after they get past the first 3 seconds, which would be the hook, right? On average, this is around 32%. Shout out to the UGC creators that are creating great videos for the brand. Hook rate, we want to see this as high as possible, as high as 50%. I think my average is like 45% though, but KPI is trying to shoot for 50%. Link click-through rate. What percentage of people when they click on your ad or product or native are deciding, or when they see that ad, they're clicking to get to the product page? On average, this is about 3% for me. Cost per click. Right now, I'm not below $1. I want to be below $1, but right now I'm seeing like, $1.05 cost per click. And CTRL, it depends on if it's a native or static or not. But on average, if it's a static, we want to see as high as 3% to 4%, even 5% for a static. And then for natives, this needs to be up close towards like 20 to 25% if it's a native. Right. So these metrics were good. I wasn't profitable, but all my soft metrics were pretty much in KPI. Some of these were teetering below KPI, like website conversion rate for a little bit. And some of these metrics were a little bit below KPI, but everything was pretty much where I wanted it to be. So I just kept spending. And now we're starting to let the pixel get more data. We're starting to let the same people that didn't buy on day one come back around and buy on day 2 and 3. And remember, not everybody needs to see 3, 5, 6, 8, 10 different ads. Some people need to see 1 or 2. If you have really good ads that convert really well and convey the transformation really well, it takes only a few ads, but you still need to make sure you have enough creative diversity in your portfolio. So ultimately speaking, depending on how big your total addressable market is, this is the order of operations I would personally take. And actually, it's what I kind of did. So start off one with just some light desire testing with statics. I've been really incorporating and talking more about statics recently because of how impressive it is to see how simple an ad can actually do for you. And I think especially in the United States, it works so well because of how much marketing and education is going around about when it comes to these same exact products. A lot of these products are relatively the same and solve relatively the same solution. So most people are sophisticated enough to kind of get the gist. A lot of the times you can get those bottom of funnel, easy, low-hanging fruit sales with just some light desire testing with statics. I've already made videos on the channel. Go check them out if you want to learn more about that, or join the school community to get access to my static scale that I use for Claude. Anyway, that's a really good way to just get some initial spend up on your account, get some easy feedback to see what works. Obviously, natives can work in the same way as desire testing early on, but honestly, Natives are often written from the problem and solution aware standpoint, so it's a little bit higher up the funnel. Statics are just as low as possible and can get some easier sales for you in your account. So I personally like, nowadays, I like starting off with statics. I would apply this to a regular dropshipping brand as well. From there, start to establish some easy middle funnel to bottom of funnel video creatives. This is going to be UGC or AI UGC, totally depending on your circumstances and what you're shooting for. But I would definitely do middle funnel, bottom funnel UGC. This should be people that are aware of the product and you're now just making videos about why this particular product is great for that particular avatar and their desire. And of course, similar to that, bottom of funnel, hey, this product is on sale, grab it now. You can do that in a video format as well, similar to how you would do your statics. Then you're just going to continue to test and double down on winners. And then you're going to scale up your natives. You're going to scale up with natives and listicles. Now, the reason why I would wait a little bit to scale up with natives and listicles is because it generates more top of funnel awareness, like I was just mentioning. Now, if you have the budget and the spend and the capital to generate a ton of demand and education around your product, feel free to go ahead and start off with natives and listicles and advertorials. But I find that these are oftentimes going at the top of the funnel where people are less educated about the problem or the product, and then having to then educate them and then also sell them with the same marketing dollars when you're just starting off with a limited budget is very difficult. And that's what I was starting off with initially. I've since reversed my strategy. And of course, I want to reincorporate natives and listicles. But to do so, I needed to actually build the foundation first. It's almost like you're building a house and you start off with the roof, right? If we think about this just like a funnel, right? Just like a funnel, we're starting off basically at the bottom of the funnel, or in this case, the top of the roof. If we start with natives, we want to go and gather as much attention, and I'll just use one analogy at the time. We want to start off by building a foundation with easy to convert ads that when someone sees it, they don't need to think too much to buy. And then as we build that foundation, then we want to start grabbing some more of that top of funnel. If we think about this from a funnel perspective, we're basically starting off here, getting a ton of the low-hanging fruit leads that are easy to sell. And then once we establish that foundation as we scale, that's the next thing. So for me, in my journey, now that I'm able to do 1K a day profitably, I'm going to scale up a little bit more and then start incorporating some natives and listicles that will feed the top of my funnel. So when those leads start to come in and read my native stories and listicles and advertorials, and they're not ready to buy despite them being a little bit more warm, as time goes on in the process, by day 3, day 5, day 7, they'll see my other bottom of funnel ads and then be way more likely to convert and, of course, scale. As always, if you guys learned anything, make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you thought the value in this YouTube video was great, the value inside my school community is 10 times more. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to learn how to build, scale, and take your dropshipping brand to the next level. See you all in the next one. Take care.